Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin denied that Moscow meddled in the election. Christine, he stole a phrase that was made famous by the first President Bush, replying to an interviewer, "Read my lips, no."
Well, Jeff, it sounds like despite the added security by U.S. lawmakers, the Russians really haven't slowed their cyber campaign, yes?
Well, you're right. And these cyber attacks have been pretty brazen. And that is the thing that U.S. law enforcement and U.S. intelligence officials have noticed throughout this campaign of cyber attacks, hacks, information warfare by the Russians. It's been a pretty brazen activity here for an extended period of time. And as you heard in that report, it continues. Even after Election Day, these cyber attacks continued. And here's part of the problem. U.S. officials really do not, according to our sources, have a good handle on how far-reaching these cyber attacks have been over the last several months and years. In other words, where is the Russian malware that has affected some of these computer networks? Keep in mind that during some of these cyber attacks, the Russian hacking units would send out thousands of malicious emails to certain targets in government, Democratic Party officials, political organizations, think tanks, just waves of these malicious emails. And so the question is, has all of this cyber activity, this malicious cyber activity, been accounted for? And it's really almost impossible at this point to know for sure until you see signs of it popping up in the wrong ways.
All right, so we've talked about the added security. Is there really anything realistically that they can do to prevent this?
Well, I mean, you have to take the kind of cyber steps that you hear people talk about fairly regularly these days, and that is to patch your vulnerabilities, and you do it as often as you possibly can. And also the FBI has been reaching out to private companies across the country, encouraging them to step forward when they feel like they've been the victim of some sort of cyber attack, to step forward and inform the FBI so they can investigate, but also so that they can gather information to spread the word through law enforcement bulletins and alerts to other companies around the country, informing them of the signs of these kinds of cyber attacks. In fact, earlier this year, there was a DHS bulletin that went out to companies across the country and critical infrastructure across the country, warning of the type of code that these Russian hacking units use.
So as far as the Senate Intel Committee, Jeff, what's next?
Well, it's going to be about calling witnesses and interviewing witnesses, and the names that we hear are the names that we've been hearing really for the last several weeks. You have Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor to President Trump, who was fired. You have Paul Manafort, who was the campaign chairman for a period of time during the 2016 campaign. You have Carter Page, who was a foreign policy advisor to the campaign. And you have Jared Kushner, whose name emerged earlier this week. And so they are putting together the list of people that they want to interview in this investigation.
All right, Jeff Begay reporting for us from our Washington bureau. Jeff, thanks.
All right, Christine.